So welcome, dear superstars. It's another great session to have you here. We learn together. We always say you must learn before you earn. You must learn before you earn. Otherwise, if you start earning and you've not learned, you might not sustain what you are earning. So Dr. Kariuki Josephat is my name. For them that we are meeting for the first time, I've seen some people logging in from different countries, Uganda and all over, Malawi, Zambia, Tanzania, and of course, Kenyans, we are also there. So I'll be taking us through today's session on incentives. As I've mentioned, the company is so generous that in addition to giving us the best compensation ever in the world, and I'm saying this with authority, in addition to that, the company gives us a set of very, very wonderful incentives. They can never be wonderful to those who don't qualify for them. They're only wonderful to those who are enjoying. Just a while ago, I had a meeting with some of you here in the Zoom, the Muga's team, and I was showing them this kind of cash. That was 2019, when I was given an incentive of 615,000 Kenya shillings. And I was telling them these incentives are open to anyone who wants to earn those kind of incentives. But unfortunately, many people don't even understand how the incentives come about. So the starting point is you understanding the incentives. And every year the company gives us either new incentives or continues with the existing incentives. Sometimes they are changed a little bit. So don't just depend on the incentives that were there in 2022. And don't take the 2023 booklet and you read superficially and imagine that, oh, they are more or less the same. No, read one by one as if it's the very first time the incentive is being brought to our market. And for that reason, I'll slowly take us through the 2023 incentives. And you realize that there are some incentives that were there last year and they are not there. They have been replaced with better incentives. When you just look at the booklet superficially, you may not even recognize that bit, that, oh, this has been scrapped off, this has been brought instead. But I can tell you, by our standards, the 2023 incentives are much better than 2022 incentives because we are moving forward progressively. So allow me to share some, diagrams here, and so on and so forth. To start off, I'll start with the fast start incentives. Now, first of all, maybe before I go to that, first of all, which incentives were there and they are not there now? This is important for existing distributors. Those who are there before are not the very new distributors for this month, those who have just joined us yesterday and a few days ago. There was an incentive called Fast Track to Manager. Fast Track to Manager, where you would do 250 personal PVs and you have become a manager even if you don't have a team. Now, the danger with that is that many people would use that shortcut and they don't build a business with the network because you don't really need a team to get to 250 points. But there used to be the other way of doing 500 points with your team. So now the 500 points with your team to become a manager has been retained. But the fast track, that is 250 personal points, will not be there in 2023. So let us really build the business the right way by sponsoring people. And that is sustainable. If you do 1,000 personal points and you don't have a team, it is not as sustainable as if you did the 1,000 points with about 4 or 5 people in your team. So that fast track to manager will not be there. And on the same vein, the fast track to senior manager, that is 500 personal PVs, will also not be there. So what will remain is the 1,000 QPV, 1,000 points with your team. So does that tell you that from the word go, when you join, when you start the business, when you start the month, start sponsoring right away, and never buy the school of thought of, oh, I need to first master the business for me to start sponsoring. That is null and void. It doesn't work. You don't need to be a professor for you to start sharing the opportunity with the people. I mean, someone who wants to join will join because of their dream, not because of the sophistication of the way you have explained the business. So you go ahead and tell people, hey, I've seen an opportunity that will change our lives. Would you want to hear more? I invite you to this meeting. Let them come, they listen, they join. But if someone was not to join, even if you take them to Harvard University so that they can be explaining the business, they'll still not join. Okay. How do I know that? There are some people I share the opportunity with. I show them my mega achievements, but they still don't join. So they don't join because of the complication. They join because they have a dream. So I'm done with that. The incentives that have not been there. And also the fast track to director will not be using the one for 250 personal points. You open the director window, then you do 4,000 points and you are a director. We are encouraging people to build a team. So when we get to that point, I'll show you that you need to first become an executive manager with 2,000 points. And then now the following month, you can do 4,000 points and you are a fully qualified director. I wanted first to highlight that before we go now to some very exciting new incentives for especially new people. Those who have just joined us, you've joined us at the best time. This is the best time that you are coming in. And the incentive is saying this, that when you join us as a distributor, let's say you've joined in the month of January, for example, and you step up to manager. You can see that, what I'm sharing there. You step up to manager by doing 500 points. See that number one there. Step up to manager by doing 500 points with your team. But within that 500 points, you must have your own, how many points? 100. Within the 500, you must have your 100 points. Then you've become a manager. And then in addition to that, you sponsor only 2 new people, each of them having 100 personal points. If you do that, so you can see the structure there, you have 500 points with your team, and out of that 100 personal points are yours. But then you have distributor 1 and distributor 2. They have joined this same month, and each has got 100 personal points. Then in addition to your bonus that month, which will be paid at 5% of your BVs. In addition to that, the company gives you 1,100 Kenya shillings. Isn't that exciting? That has never happened again. Actually, you know, we've been saying a new manager will get around 500 shillings, mostly to 1,000 shillings or thereabout. But now we are saying the new managers will get around 2,000 or so, and then plus this incentive of 1,100 if they have sponsored 2 people that month, each with 100 personal points. All right. If I were you, I would chat down there. Thank you, Neoline, for giving us some extra cash to start the business with energy. Or who would be so hurt and unhappy If right now I sent you 1,100 Kenya shillings to your M-Pesa, who would send it back that their M-Pesa is full? I doubt. The other thing that I want to mention is if you step up to executive, no, first of all, senior manager, if you step up to senior manager, what happens? Okay, let me share that again so that I show you what happens. Remember, we are using a scenario where somebody has joined in January. They have already done manager and stepped up, sponsored 2 people with 100 points. Let's assume now in the month of February or the same January. In the month of February or the same January, you step up to senior manager with how many points? How did we say you become a senior manager? 1,000 points with your team. But within the 1,000 points, you must have 100 personal points. Then you sponsor, you see it's written, you sponsor 4 personal, each with 100 personal points. But note that this 4 includes the 2 you had sponsored earlier in January. If you had already sponsored 2, it's not 4 afresh. It is 4 if you're not sponsored, but 2 more if you had already sponsored 2 earlier. So that's why you can see the labeling here. We are saying the lower one here is you had already sponsored distributor 1 and the distributor 2. So you are just adding distributor 3 and distributor 4, each with 100 personal points. And you have 1,000 QPV and 100 personal points. And if these first 2 you had sponsored them in January, by the way, it is important that even in February they do 100 personal points. But what do we expect as a better scenario? That they will not be doing 100 points, but 500 points, so that they also become managers like you. And that is how you end up getting to senior manager. So if you do that simple business there, you'll be getting 2,300 Kenya shillings. And if you had gotten the 1,100 earlier, then now that gives you 3,400 Kenya shillings. As simple as that. What does that mean to someone who joined in January, and within that January, they stepped up to a senior manager, 1,000 points, and they sponsored 4? It means within that 1 month, they are getting both 1,100 and 2,300. That is that 400. I hope up to that point we are okay. And then we go to the 3rd step. The 3rd step looks like this. Let me share again. The 3rd step. So we are saying this. You step up to executive manager. If you are taking a 1 step every single month, then this is in March, for example. So you step up to executive manager with how many points total? 2,000 QPV. Executive means 2,000 QPV. But remember, you must always have 100 personal points. Without 100 personal points, forget about any incentive, forget about any bonus. Whatever the level you are. Even for me as a president, even 5 diamond directors, without 100 points, it is 0 everywhere. So back to this part, you've stepped up to executive manager and you've sponsored a total of 6 personal, each with 100 points. So if in January and February you had already sponsored 4, then in March you are sponsoring 2 more, each with 100 personal points, then you have qualified for that incentive of 3,600. So you can see we have the number 1 and 2, which you sponsored first, number 3 and number 4, which you sponsored second, and then now the new ones, 5 and 6, each with 100 personal points. And you have your 100 personal points at 2,000 points with your team. This entire team. Can you appreciate the power of having a team? that all these personal points for these people, they are adding up to yours. All right? So basically, that is what we are saying. And again, let's say this, if you joined in January, and by the end of that month of January, you have sponsored the 6, each with 100 personal points. It's very easy to sponsor 6. During our recognition in the next few minutes, you will see someone who has already sponsored 6 by now. So it's easy to sponsor 6. And you have stepped up to executive manager by end of that same January, the same month you have joined. That is 2,000 points. Then you will get 1,100 shillings for manager plus 2,300 for senior manager plus 3,600 for executive manager, a total of 7,000 Kenya shillings. Now, for our international distributors, kindly check from your back office your equivalent incentives, just in case they are not like this. But for East Africa, you can see they are given in your currency. Tanzania, 82,000. It's easy for Tanzanians and Ugandans to become multimillionaires than Kenyans, going by the figures here. Uganda, 130,000 Uganda shillings, and that is the incentive we are talking about. So those are some of the new incentives that we have, but not the only. They are not the only incentives. We have many other incentives that have been brought into our region and into our market. One of them is for new directors. If you become a brand new director, in your second or third month, you do 250 personal points and 4,000 QPV. Imagine you are getting an extra 6,800, just like that. 6,600, just like that. So that means if as a director you are earning, let's say 83,000, because that's the average for directors, and then you get 6,800, you can see the cash is going up. Okay, so let me share this other incentive here, and all these materials are in your back office. This is 2023 incentives. You can see, let me take you to that. Of course, first of all, you can see the shortcut for becoming a director here. You can either accumulate 10,000 points as it is in your compensation plan. You can accumulate 10,000 points in 6 months, or you can use this incentive here, the one I've highlighted, where you just become an executive manager with the 2,000 points, and then the following month you do 4,000 points, as long as you have a 100 personal points. So you see, there is no requirement in this one that you must have 250 personal points for you to become a director, but it is good practice. People of excellence don't look for the least expected level. They look for the highest that they can go. So this is easy for anyone to become a director. So now the one I've explained, it's there. Again, you can see it in this booklet. I just broke it down in the diagrams I shared earlier so that you can understand easily. Then you can see the new director incentive there, 6,800 cash. And when you become an Emerald director, that is, you are consistent at director level for 2 more months, you get a backpack. You know, you get that backpack, branded Neolife. And by the way, in addition to that, if you remain consistent, you'll be earning 6,800 every single month. And when you earn 6,800 twice, the third time you get it together with the 10,000 you are seeing below there. We calculated this incentive and discovered that in addition to your monthly bonus, by the end of the year, directors will be earning an additional 120,000 Kenya shillings annually. The annual incentive, 120,000 Kenya shillings. How is that during this time of paying school fees, guys? It makes life easier. And for World Team and President's team members, you'll be getting an incentive of, annually we computed it came to, I think, 180,000 Kenya shillings. But then there are many other incentives ahead. That is like this leadership summit for the Sapphire directors. We take you to Windsor. Like we are taking our Sapphires in, I think, April, yes, in April. But we also invite Emerald directors who are doing well, a good job. Then for Ruby directors, we take you to Presidential Pursuit, where you are treated like a king so that you can become a president, and so on and so forth. Then for presidents, we have the Diamond Lifestyle, which will be announced the destination soon. Now, why I want us to keep stepping up is because if you look at the step up bonuses in this part of the screen, is that when you become a Sapphire director, like now Mother Janja is getting there in the next 2 months or 1.5 months, you step up to Sapphire director, you earn, in addition to your monthly bonus, you get 50,000 Kenya shillings. You step up to 1 Ruby, you get 98,000 Kenya shillings. All the way to 5 Diamond director, where you are getting 2.9 million Kenya shillings. Dominic in Tanzania, the equivalent there is 60 million Tanzania shillings. I told you it's easier to become a multi-millionaire in Tanzania. And in Uganda, you are getting 98 million Ugandan shillings. Wow. That is not the only incentive. President's team consistency cash. You can see lots of cash there. Can you see something like here, 1.9 million Kenya shillings? You go down there to the next table. Can you see some exciting figure here, 6.12 million Kenya shillings? We'll be sharing this, teaching you these incentives as you get closer to those levels. For now, I'm just building up your appetites, all right? And then there are other founders profit sharing pool cash that you get as you build your business. I hope we are together up to that point. I want to share the last one. The last one is 3 in 30 incentive. So let me go to sharing. And there we go. This is not for new distributors, it's for everyone, all of us. And we are saying this, that sponsoring this time round will be rewarded very well. Every time you sponsor 3 people in a month, and each has 100 personal points, and that is what we call 3 in 30 star, then you get some credits so that you'll be able to get, you are getting PV's points, 10 PV free product credits. At the end of the month, you get some products. A product worth 10 PVs. That could be LDC, could be Super 10. There are all those products, but it's pre-selected by the company. Then the amazing thing is, there is no limit as to how many 3s you can do. Like now, I've told you we have somebody who has sponsored 6 days month already. I'm sure he's done getting 20. 6, if all of them have got 100 personal points at the beyond, then those are 20 PV credits. Because it's 3 people times 2, 6. That is 20 PVs. So here we are saying sponsor as many people as possible and you get those credits. And end of the month, you are getting a sum total of so many different incentives. What I have shared with us is good enough, but I would still encourage us to make sure that we interact with those booklets. They are all in your back office. And when you buy some products, you get them in your physical package. Interact with them. Try to interrogate those incentives and then inquire from your director where it's not yet very clear. But I challenge us. The company setting the incentives is one thing, but you working to win those incentives is another. The company may present millions and tens and hundreds of millions to us, but if we don't work to win them, then that money remains with in the accounts of the company. So let's get out of our comfort zone and we marshal those incentives. Finally, what is happening is as you win those incentives, then at the background, your business is growing. It's growing. Show me somebody who is winning those incentives and I'll show you someone who is taking steps to towards the top. Okay, so that is it. 2023, let us all focus on winning the incentives and taking steps, building our business to the next level. By end of the year, I know there are people here who are here for the very first time. And by end of 2023, we'll be celebrating them as not a director, not even a Sapphire director, but even Ruby directors and president team members. Someone who believes so, feel free to say amen down there in the chats. I always believe in the power of confession. You confess and you possess, especially if you follow the confession with work, not just saying. Right. So as you chat down there, we want to move on to the next thing. Congratulations, Trust, all the way from Zambia. You know, yeah, I can see so many people, Jackie and Jane, Margaret, so many people saying, yes, I'm going for it. Go for it, guys. I mean, we are all capable. Let's go for it. If not you, then who else? But then be aggressive. Don't do the business in slow motion. Go all in, and you'll harvest big time. So thank you so much. God bless you. And we want to wind up on that one at that point so that we can go to the next session, and that is the recognition.